Hi there, my name is Six Fox and welcome to Heroes of Might and Magic 2. Today I'm doing something a little bit different than what I usually do. Last night I was trying to get some assets for a future video, and while Heroes of Might and Magic 2 is a beautiful, flawless game, the hand-drawn sprites still hold up to this day. I was finding that trying to capture those assets and trying to make something that I could use in future videos, it just wasn't coming in very well. My screen grabs were of low quality. It was really very just low resolution. It was kind of blah. And so I thought to myself, well, why don't I just try one of these new AI upscalers that you can find out there? And I tried it, and at 2 in the morning last night, I was cackling like a madman, enjoying so very much the AI's interpretation as it upscaled some of these portraits for the creatures that you will find in Heroes of Might and Magic 2. And I want to share those with you today. Link will be in the description for the AI upscaler that I used, and I'm kind of excited to see maybe what else AI can do for Heroes of Might and Magic 2. Just to be clear, I am not advocating that we should have an HD version of Heroes of Might and Magic 2. I think that the charm of Heroes of Might and Magic 2 is as it currently stands. This is just a healthy, fun exercise all the same. So, with that being said, let's dive right in. So starting off, we have the Barbarians. And this goblin is great. I love the club. I love the detail on the necklace, and the face really captures the spirit of the original. I think that this is a great way to start this off. It looks so good. I wish that the snout wasn't so short and that the tusks were wider to kind of set them apart from the rest of the orc. We kind of lose a little bit of the facial features there, but the outfit looks terrific. And then the orc chieftain didn't have the same problem, interestingly, as the orc did. You kind of get the longer snout, you get the tusks. I think it's just fine. There's no problems there. The ogres and the ogre lords are so clean. Look at that axe. Look at the way that the face is brought to life there. That is so good. And that holds true for both the ogres and the ogre lords. And something about the way that the axe was shaped just really sets it off in a great way. I love both of those units. The troll is not bad. I don't love how the AI interpreted the face, but it fits okay, and it especially looks better than the war troll. Because the war troll, we can tell what's going on here in the original, but when you upgrade it, it just is a plate of mashed potatoes, and it's hard to tell what's going on. It's just too difficult to read. That one's going to be a negative for me. The Cyclops is made out of a lot of geometric shapes, and I feel like those really come through strong. And the original vision that the artists had when they made the sprites really comes through big. Cyclops is a big thumbs up. For the knights, the peasant is fine. It's not bad, it's not good. But where the knight faction really shines, unfortunately, is in the background. I think that the backgrounds for all of the knights look great, whereas the models look pretty bad. This archer, for example, on the left-hand side, we have a beautiful woman, and on the right-hand side, the face is just not there. And that holds true for the archer and for the ranger. You just miss out on some of the subtle nuance that the artist was going for that really comes across. And that makes me a little bit sad there. So I'm going to have to give the archers and the rangers a thumbs down. This pikeman looks like he's got a lizard face. I know it's the bottom of his helmet, but it's very hard to read, and it looks like an extra mouth or an extra wide mouth. Thankfully, the veteran pikeman doesn't have that same issue. It looks like it's a helmet, and then his nose and his eye is peeking out. The veteran pikeman probably looks the best out of all the faces that we're going to see here for the knight faction. And I think that it's because faces are kind of hard for the AI anyways, just like with these swordsmen. There's a lot of subtlety that the artists put into the original sprites, and the little nuances really don't come across very well. The AI just can't really do the nuance. Unfortunately, while the armor looks good, the face is just kind of bad. Thankfully, we do get the cavalries, the champions, the paladins, and the crusaders, and they are armored fully. The horses look so good on this. I think that the horses come through great. And then I remember when I was a kid, my vision of what the champion looked like when I had better eyesight, and this AI upscaled version looks exactly like what I remember it being. So that one's a huge thumbs up. The paladin is great. It's really good, but something about the Crusader is far and away my favorite unit so far when it gets upscaled. Just something about the gold sleek shiny armor that looks so imposing. It looks like one of the toughest units in the game, and somehow it's one of the weakest. How could that possibly be? I hope there's somebody walking around with a Crusader tattoo somewhere out there. Now, I will tell you, I wasn't sure how the Necromancers would do getting upscaled. But one thing I've noticed so far, especially with the knights and their faces, is that the AI kind of puts a little bit of the uncanny valley into its renditions. And that actually works really, really well for the undead. Like here, this zombie looks perfectly fine with the mashed potato face and like the sharpening in some odd places and smearing in other ways. And really, it makes it look more grotesque. Look at that skull popping out from that mutant zombie. That looks so good. So good. So the undead kind of benefit from the AI doing a little bit of its own sharpening and smoothing and shading, and it looks pretty good. Mummies are maybe the first case where we're going to talk about textures, because I feel like you kind of get that tattered cloth texture coming through here. And I think that texture comes through better than some of the other ones. It's on par with scales and things like that we're going to find later, feathers. I don't know how I feel about this vampire. I think you need 1 pixel of cream or white right where the eye is, just so you can really make sure you know exactly where the eye is. It doesn't really feel like it holds true to the original. I don't love that, but it's serviceable. It's not bad. The Lich is actually surprisingly really good in my opinion. I think that it looks more terrifying with the mouth in that way. And in fact, I think that the Lich is going to look better than the Power Lich does, because the Power Lich ends up having a really cartoony mouth, and that just doesn't feel right. That just doesn't sit right. It doesn't look terrifying. It looks kind of more silly. So a little interesting how the Lich can be right, but the Power Lich not. Bone dragons are so freaking cool. That is a bone dragon. Oh, that's so scary. I love that. That is a huge thumbs up. On to the sorceresses. They have what I think is my favorite background. If you look, they did a great job with the clouds kind of a deal. The sprite here, I do like the face. We lose kind of the child-like face, but it's pretty good. It's pretty serviceable. But these renditions all kind of look more like an artist who had a certain artistic style that they put into their pieces. It looks kind of more like a mosaic, and that holds true for a lot of the different sorceress units, like the battle dwarves here and the dwarves. It's not bad. You lose some of the contrast. It's hard to read, but it feels more as if it was, I could see a human artist putting some decision making into how they wanted to do that. Unfortunately here, while it worked for the dwarves, it does not work for these elves. Thankfully, the grand elves come through a lot better. Something about like the pointed beard and the kind of sharp relief of their facial structure. It looks good. Their clothing, the way they blend in, looks so good. The druid is not a very detailed model, I would say, but they do a serviceable job with what they had to work with. And the only complaint I have with the druids or the greater druids is that the greater druids, the hand on the left hand side kind of blends into the background in a way that we just kind of lose that a little bit. So not too bad. The unicorn is terrific. I didn't realize how beautiful the unicorns were. Look at the kind of shimmering, sleek coat and then the blue eyes. That's such a cool model. I think that that's a beautiful portrait. And I got to tell you, I'm a little disappointed in the phoenixes. It's not bad. It's good. But I was expecting to have my socks knocked off, and no, it's merely okay. It's merely okay. For the warlocks, I gotta give the centaurs a thumbs down, because that face is just a little bit sad. There's no other problems with it, but the face is a little sad. Talking about textures though, it feels like this gargoyle has kind of the obsidian look to it, like flowing stone, and I think that that's kind of accentuated by the AI. I think that's pretty good. The griffin looks like a cool little sticker. I know we lose some of the fine details, but it's got this nice, strong, sharp kind of look. I think eagles kind of tend to be expressed well in that regard. Minotaurs are fine. We lose some shading, but the axe looks fine. It's not bad. It's just a little bit dark. It's a little bit harder to read. I wonder if it wasn't right in front of the mountain range, if it wouldn't be as hard to read. But it looks good. It looks good. And then this is one of my favorite models. At first, I couldn't tell if I liked the Hydra or not. I thought, oh, it looks kind of chunky. It looks kind of whatever. But then the more I look at it, the more I like it. Something about the scales, it looks fine. It looks really well. And then we see that continuation with the dragons. This looks like a very nice, crisp, sharp image. Something about the interplay between the light and the dark works really well with all of the dragons and all of their scales. They're really pretty to look at in this regard, and they feel you know, when I'm playing Heroes of Might and Magic 2 on a nice resolution, it looks nice there. And these feel very, very true to what is in the game present when I'm not trying to capture images for assets for videos later. So it looks really good. Isn't it fun to nitpick the AI? I really kind of enjoy that a little bit. The halflings and the wizards, they kind of do the similar thing to what the sorceress troops did. It's not bad, but kind of like an artistic decision to make a mosaic and blend it together. But then you have issues like here with the boar, where it disappears into the background. Hard to see, hard to read because there's not as many highlights and shadows. The iron golem looks much better than the steel golem, though. Look at the buttons in the front. Look at the kind of the attention to detail. I think that the iron golem looks really well, but the steel golem, you lose some of those finer features that were present in the iron golem, and it looks like it's got a hairpiece on. It's just a couple of interesting choices from the AI there. I don't love it. I don't hate it. The Magi blends too much into the background for my liking. There's not really a strong outline, unfortunately, because all the colors are similar to the background. But that's not the case with the Arc Magi, and I feel like with the Arc Magi, it really stands out, not just because of the juxtaposition, but also the robe and the crescent moons is very nice. This is not a giant. It doesn't look terrible in and of itself, but it's got a potato nose, and that's not a giant. That's not a giant. Look at the face. It's not a giant. The Titan has a similar issue that the War Troll had, where everything's kind of blending together and it makes it hard to read, but compared to the giant, it looks a lot better. So I'm going to give that one a pass. And then here with the neutral creatures, I got to tell you, the air elemental made me laugh, because the original is just this weak outline, and then the AI said, well, let's just make that a strong outline, and it works. It's fine. It's okay. Some more textures. This looks like Earth when we're talking about the Earth elemental, and I think that kind of gives it some character, makes it pretty strong. The fire elemental originally had kind of these glowing, pulsating rocks, and now the new version looks more like fire and less like lava, if that makes sense. I know we don't have any animations on this, but that's just kind of the feel that I have with it. And then the water elemental looks terrific. I think all of the elementals look really great, and I just chalk that up to a really strong design. Unfortunately for the genie, that's just not the case. I love the tail kind of portion, but the face is all wrong because it was interpreted in a very sharp manner, some of those fine lines and details. This ghosts are so terrifying. That thing is going to eat my soul, and I am terrified. Oh my gosh. I love that model so much. The Medusas are okay. I wish that they had one cream or white colored pixel right where the eyes should be, just to kind of bring that out, but otherwise it's fine. And the Nomad looks like it's melting. The horse looks like it's done very, very well, but everything from maybe the shoulders up is just blending into one solid piece, and that just feels a little bit bad. And then last, this rogue model, I know that it's an eye patch, but it looks like he's got sunglasses on, and for some reason that bodes very, very well for me. I'm fine with that. So all in all, I hope you can understand why I felt like I needed to share this with somebody at 2 a.m. Really, it's just interesting to me. The in-game models, the in-game portraits look fine. They look great, and they look way better than they look here, but it was an interesting exercise just because, again, I was trying to capture some assets and I thought it was funny. I do not think that we need to have an HD version of the game. I don't think that there needs to be any changes. It's a beautiful looking game and it plays so well. If you haven't been playing Heroes of Might and Magic 2 recently, I recommend that you check out the FHeroes2 version. It's terrific. It's revitalized my interest in this. Folks, again, links are in the description for where we got this information, where we got these assets, and the AI that we used to upscale this. Let me know what you think. And until next time, my name is FixFox, and I'm out.